Hi there, my name's Aaron Short and welcome to my YouTube channel. So, from the green light behind me, you can probably figure out that I'm talking about Kemper today, Kemper Profilers. So, the stage was recently released. A lot of people are talking about the Kemper Profiler stage. A lot of people that were put off by the form factor of the toaster or rack with the pedal, saying it's too much to carry around, now have a reason to try one of these things and to buy one. People that use the Helix Line 6 gear, the Boss gear, that are kind of curious about the whole profiling versus modeling thing, are very curious to try them. And what I'm hearing online is people saying, oh, the screen looks old, and oh, it looks hard to use, and oh, I just don't understand it because I'm coming from my current thing where I control it this way. Well, of course, anything new to us is going to be hard to use, right? Now, before we begin, I don't think it's hard at all. My first tip is download the manual for the Kemper stage or the Kemper, whatever you're using. Read it once or twice. Take it on your phone, read it on the subway, read it while you're at work in your break, whatever. Read the manual. Don't expect to just sit down and figure something out. Now you can if you've got friends and YouTube videos. And in fact, I would rather learn from a video, which is exactly why I'm making this video. Personally, I'd rather learn from the video, right? So I'm going to share with you not every little detail of this unit, and also not really my thoughts on it. I do like it, but I'm going to show you like how I would set up a performance and how I would use it, and a few tips and tricks I've discovered on the way. So this should be good for existing users and new users alike. So just before I begin, if you're coming from a real amp, let's just talk about the headspace we'll be in for this. You're coming from a real amp, you have an amp and a few pedals, but you want to get something even smaller to plug in direct and practice with and take to gigs and cut down on size. Okay, I think you're coming from a good place. So let's imagine we're going into the amp store and we're going to try different amps and choose our favorite clean, crunch and heavy amp, whatever kind of amp sounds you want. Think of it that way. Now if you're coming from a modeler like a Helix, with those, you tend to find the amp closest to what you want and then tweak it. Tweak all the controls, add EQ blocks, play with IRs and things. So the Kemper for me is more in the middle. You can still tweak a bit, but I don't want you to tweak. Choose the profiles you like and stick with them. If you need to tweak them slightly, you can, but it's best not to do any tweaking, and you shouldn't have to, which is why I think this unit sits right in the middle. It's not as flexible as a Helix. If you play in a church, I need a million different sounds and also interact with a real amp and switch channels and MIDI switching. Actually, the Kemper can do MIDI switching, but if you need like really advanced switching options and routing options, the Helix is still the king. If you have one sound and play the blues, the real amp is still the king, right? But the Kemper is such a nice in-between of the real thing and the modeling world coming together, well, modeling, profiling, digital and analog. I find it sits right in the sweet spot, and that's why I like it. So let me go over to the unit and show you how I plug in and what I use and what settings I use, okay? Now, here's my first question. Are you using the correct guitar? So I'm going to be playing a lot of classic rock. SSS Strat is fine. This is very obvious, but if you're a beginner coming to this thing, you know, if you're going to play metal and look for metal amps, then use a guitar suitable for that genre, okay? Research the guitars. Use an instrument that's going to complement the sounds. Of course, you wouldn't walk in to test out metal amps and take a classical guitar, would you? Very obvious, but I thought I'd put it in there for the beginners out there. Now, second of all, this thing's great, but you still got to plug it into something, which is the very reason why I say if you just use a clean amp with nothing else, of course, just use that, because you've still got to get something to plug this into. Now, you might have in-ear monitors, which is a good way to go. You might have a PA system at your church you can just plug straight into, which is great. But here's what I've found, and something to note. When I use headphones with these things, I don't like the distortion sounds. They sound very close and artificial, just the nature of the physics of the headphones. My 6-inch studio monitors sound much better all round, but still not ideal because they're still 6-inch monitors, right? My QSC K8 PA speaker sounds awesome with this unit because it's just a bigger thing and it's just more suitable. So if you want a recommendation for an FRFR for this, I recommend the QSC stuff. The K8.2 is great. The Friedman ones are great. That's another topic though. You could also use a real power amp and cabinet if you really are traditional and want these amp options and effects and everything, but with a real speaker in the room. That is really worth considering, and it probably is my favorite thing. But I like this unit because it still sounds really and feels really good through a PA speaker, which I think is great. Okay, so bearing that in mind, we have our guitar. Now you're going to turn the Kemper on, and well, actually no. Well, it's funny. Be careful with what you're plugged into. Turn it down, because as soon as you plug the power in for the Kemper, you're going to get signal coming through it. There's no on-off switch as such. So start with your speaker turned off. So my monitor here is on 0. Also, don't clip anything. These studio interfaces can be very sensitive and can clip, and digital clipping sounds horrible. It sounds harsh, and that's when people say, oh, it sounds digital, because they're clipping their inputs. Great thing with the PA speaker is it's high headroom, set it to line, you can't really clip it at these kind of levels. So that's a good option if you're starting out too. But if you're using an interface or something, just keep your gains down. My gain's off right now and it's set to line. So I'm coming from the main out into the interface. Guitar is plugged into the guitar input. I am connected via USB. Please go on their website, make sure you run the latest version of the profiler and download Rig Manager. There is an editor coming, which is going to be really useful, but not necessary. The unit is fine. As you can see, I've raised it up so I can use my hands to make my changes while I'm just setting it up. Don't keep bending down. And I feel like once you've set it up, then you're kind of done. You can put it on the floor anyway. If I'm talking too fast, then please slow down the video. The reason is I had 2 cups of coffee. Right, anyway, moving on. So USB, power, everything loads up. Now there is a welcome screen. If you just look at the layout, you've got all your buttons here, tuner, looper, the power button here is you have to hold it down to power it off, which is useful so you don't turn it off by mistake. This is browse mode to check out the different amps. This is perform for when you're performing. This is your master volume. This is your signal flow, basically guitar in, pedals before the amp and cab, pedals after the amp and cab, and your output. To change those, just hold them down. You'll see the thing on the screen reflected there. Up and down to go between different banks and performances, and 1, 2, 3, 4 for your effects and things. I do have a rig topper on here just because that's my volume boost. Going to be my volume boost. Alright, so again, read the manual. It will explain all of this, and I'll talk you through it as we go, but just read the manual. So that button there will correspond with the screen there because it's illuminated. Put the date and time. I'm not going to do that right now, but please do that. Enter your name, and then you'll be... Oh yeah, use these controls to change the characters. See, it says character there, and just turn it until you get the character you want. But I'm not going to do that right now, just because it takes too long, but you should do that. Right, this is what happens. It loads up like this. So let me give myself some volume. You should have volume at this point. Oh, I've already got a sound there. Already got a sound. Awesome. Okay, so this is the back button. See this one with the backwards arrow? That will always take you home. That's good to know about that. Alright, so we're in browser mode, and we have a gain control. That shows you how much gain is on the amp. You can change the gain, but remember, it's not like changing the gain on the real amp, but it is a form of gain control. You've got these bass, middle, treble presence. Again, it's a way to change it, but it's not like changing it on the actual amp. But you might get a great new sound. It's more for like tweaking after the fact. All right. So let's get in that headspace. We're going to find the amps that sound great with this guitar and not tweak too much. Let's try that. So what I want to do first of all is just use the browse, and I can see that says clean, but also the gain is really low, so I know it's clean, right? Yeah, that's clean. All right. Not bad clean. Yeah, quite like that. Let me try another one. What's this? The first sound is a crunch. Okay. But here's the thing, straight away I'm like, oh, well, they're different volumes. This is going to be a nightmare to dial in. I'll be tweaking all night long. Oh my goodness. Right, here's tip number 1. Hold down input. Clean sense, distortion sense. This is really, really clever. Right. Now I'm going to bring my clean sense up, because on those lower gain sounds, I'm finding that they're all too quiet, and then the high gain ones are too loud. Could be my guitar, could be the way I play, could just be the nature of gain. But anyway, let me bring clean up to around 8, and let me bring distortion down by about 2. Now this will depend on your guitar and everything, but what I've found is if I do this now, there's that crunch, and then this clean now is, aha, they're really balanced. And the whole sound is just better. In fact, I'll be absolutely honest with you, I could go and do a gig with these two sounds right now. I'm not even kidding. Look. I'm not even kidding. I am not even kidding. I could just use those right now. I haven't touched a thing apart from the clean and distortion since. Well, anyway, I'm not the kind of guy to settle. So let's go to tuner. There's 2 modes here: bubble or it's kind of strobe mode. I like strobe. Oh, I can hear it, so I'm going to press the mute signal button. Now when I tune, it's quiet. But another really cool workflow thing with this is when you're not in tuner mode, this little micro tuner still works. In fact, look. So although you don't want the audience to hear that, if you're playing a solo and you happen to hit an open string, you could quickly tune while the band's playing and not have to jump into the tuner. I just think that's really nice, and a lot of people are saying that in the forums too. It's a nice little feature, it really is. Alright, so having said that, we're going to browse through the amps. Now a good tip, I'm browsing the stock ones. You can buy more and load them in, you don't need to, there's some really good ones in here. But so let's start with the built-in free ones first, alright? A good tip, as I was saying, is to find the low gain. Just look at the gain. Look, that's going to be heavy metal, right? Obviously, so let's find a clean one. I want that gain to be right. I mean look, that's going to be a clean one, right? Oh, Pink Floyd guys, there you go, and girls, but not the sound I'm looking for. Nah. So again, you need to have this, what sound are you looking for? Get it in your head now. Turn your guitar up, select the correct pickup, then look around. And you know, there's so many, look at this, there's so many. There are so many. Now, I've been through all of them. Your homework is to go through all of them. Find one you like, make it a favorite or write it down somewhere. To save us doing that on video, I've already found one that I like. It's TAF Voice Cop Top. So let me go to that. There it is, Voice Cop Top Clean. Now, this is what happened to me when I found it. Yes, that's the one. And there's just a bit of reverb, which we can edit later, but that's the sound in my head. That's the sound that I want. Okay, so great. So here's what you can do. Hold down rig until it says, hold down rig and press favorite. See up there? Done. So that's a cool tip, because now I've saved it as a favorite. It's always going to be in my favorites folder. Really cool. So the next sound I need is a crunch sound. So again, I'm going to browse. I'll probably want something to be around here, don't I? For like a low gain crunch, for my kind of style. I mean, crunch is different for everybody. Actually, that's a nice kind of like hairy sound. Yeah, see, it even says pushed. I like that. I'm going to hold down rig and I'm going to make that a favorite too. That could be my sound number 2. I have never heard that before. Alright, let me keep going. Maybe this one? Nah, too much. Too much. Too much. Again, let me fast forward. Fan, Bassman, Tube Screamer. So this is actually an amp that was profiled with a Tube Screamer in front of it to give that crunch. So it's cool. You know, sometimes people profile amps with effects already baked in, which is actually kind of cool if that's exactly the sound that you want. There it is. It's an amp factory. TAF is the amp factory. All right, too much gain for me, so I should probably keep looking, but hang on. Ah, here we go. That's without the tube screamer. Great. So I'm going to save that one. Hold down rig. That's favorite. I'm also going to save the other one because I did like the other one. Brand, sorry. I do like this one. I'm going to store that as well. Alright. Now, one more sound to go. I could add a pedal and this, but I want a heavy amp. I want something like a Friedman. So, let me go through. See, that looks like it could be good. Yeah, actually, I like that a lot. Let me just try, I've got one in mind. It's a Michael Britt. Michael Britt Friedman. Friedman 4. Bit harder in the mids. There's delay on that. I'm going to turn that delay on. Yeah, they're both good. They're both good. Wow, so although I have been to these before, I'm cheating a little bit. This is just stock stuff, and it's all there. So I'm done. I've chosen my amps. I've set my levels. I could now go and play. Of course, I do want to set up a performance, and I do want to set up some effects. So let me continue. Let's click on performance mode. Okay. Up and down will take us up and down through the different performances. I want to find an empty one. There we go, new performance, slot 1. All right, let's put that clean sound in there. So I'm going to browse. I'm going to sort all rigs by favorites. There we go. Where's that clean cop top? I'm not sure what amp that is actually, but I like it. Sounding weak. It's that clean sensing, isn't it? It's not set up here. Okay. So I need to set up in this as well, because that was a real game changer for me. Having that set at 8 and this one set down by 2. Now it's only on this one. It can be independent of these different foot switches, because I've now got my clean, crunch, heavy, etc. But if you press the lock button just once, so it locks it, now everything will have those settings, and I'll go back. So now I've done that for all these controls. Just check that here. Yeah, see that's all set, and the noise gate, same thing. I'm going to just store that. I just pressed it 3 times. I figured I'd press 3 times, it stores. Alright, now to get to number 2, you want to use your page across. There we go, number 2. Now I'm going to select, what did I say I liked? Oh, I like to push, right? Sort of like a hairy amp, I like that. Let me just check, go back. Yeah, and is that still set? Yes it is, because I locked it. Let me store that, awesome. 3 is going to be the crunch. Oh, I need to press arrow across to get to 3. And then the crunch sound was the, oh let's do the tube screamer one, that was kind of cool. So that's in there. Again, just let me check that. Yeah, that's fine, that's good. Is there too much noise? No, so I'm going to store that. And then number 4, press across again, is going to be my Friedman. That's noisy. Okay, hold down input, noise gate. Just enough to get rid of that buzzing. Alright, perfect. Store that. That was easy, right? Now I know what I'm doing, that's why it was easy, but it's that whole thing, once you know what you're doing, it is easy. So don't be thinking like, oh well on the other ones you just touch them and they magically, I mean this is not any harder. I'll just show you quickly now. I'm not going to go into effects in this video, but if I want that delay to be foot switchable, you see how it's like that? I would just, or let's say the reverb, I would just hold them at the same time. You see it, put it onto this switch. So now, if I go back again, look, reverb is now controlled by that. So again, very simple, very easy. Wow, I love that. That sounds great. Okay, back to clean again. And the levels are there. It's a great tip. I mean, if I want to change them again further, I can hold on amplifier, I can go along to volume, but I really don't need to, it's fine. But if you're playing the gig and there's a difference, you don't want to use the distortion clean sense, then you can just manually change it as well. Same with the EQ. You can use it sparingly, but it's there, same with the gain. But the whole idea I want you to get into with this is you don't have to. Like, I've got my clean sounds, and I'm ready to play. I don't need to low cut, I don't need to tweak, I don't need to do any of that stuff. I'm just ready to play my guitar. And even through these little monitors, it sounds really good. Like, really good. Okay, so now everything's kind of done. Like, I've chosen the basic sounds. I can go and play now. The only things I would need to do, of course, is to add some effects. I mean, this reverb is okay. If I want to change it, I just hold the button in. See, mix is only 10%, so I'll bring it up. Delay time's only 1, I can bring it up. And the effects in this thing are great. Really happy with it. If you do browse, then there's lots of other ones you can go to. Use the page to go between different types of effects. So I'll page over. See, green is delay and reverb. So I'm back in reverb again. There's a large spring. So in a similar way, like, find one that you like. Find the sound that you want. See that? I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't really want that. That's okay. So then I would go back, and then you can further tweak here. So that's way too much and not long enough for me. So that's pretty cool. And then when you're done, just go back, and again, do make sure to store all the time. Stored. If you use Rig Manager, it's very easy to rename this performance Aaron's Rig, and then also rename these ones at the bottom as like clean. That could just be clean, crunch, heavy, etc. Just so you can look down and see what's on. So the reverb's on, and that's the different sounds, that's the name of the performance, and this is also your signal flow on the screen as well. Nice thing with this screen, okay, it's not an iPad screen, but it is very useful outside, and if you go into system, you can change the contrast there to make it easier to see. So that's kind of it. I would go through and again just add effects. So let's just say, I will just do one effect just to show you again. This clean is nice, but I need a delay. So delay, the one that says delay does not have to be delay. These can be anything, and so can these. But obviously you want distortions and wahs here and time-based effects here. But I do want a delay here, so let me just hold down on it. Oh yeah, copy stuff. I'm not going to go into everything in this video. Sorry, browse of course. Page across to where the delays are. Single delay. That's the most basic. You know what? It's fine, but I'm going to browse through. Here's a tape. Chorus. Echo machine. Reverse. There's a lot, and they're very good. Let's say I just want a digital delay. Okay, and then it goes back and change the mix, so feedback, all that stuff, all that good stuff. And I definitely want that delay on this foot switch, so I'll just hold them both down. It's there. That now turns it on or off. Go back again. So look, store that, and I'm done. I've got an effect there now. So that's my reverb on my clean, and I press delay, and I can tap it in. So just go through, add the effects that you want, and you're done. And I really believe then you're in a good place. And if this seems a bit fiddly, remember the editor is coming, so it'll be so fast to make patches. But I really believe with this unit, the beauty of it is that you kind of create a rig and a patch, and you're done. You're not going to be making a million patches. If you are making a million patches for different songs for a church gig or something, then just wait for the editor, or it's really not that hard. This is a lot easier to use than some of the other pedals I've used. I think you look at it and you see the screen and all the buttons and you think, oh, it's so complicated. But honestly, after a day or two, it's absolutely fine. So don't worry about it. watch this video back again. Just bear in mind the tips I said about seeking out profiles, setting the clean sense and distortion sense, what you plug it into. Just consider these factors, and I think you'll find that as a unit it all kind of comes together as, again, a kind of in between of an amp and a modeler. It's kind of really nice middle ground, and it just sounds so good. So please, if you've got any comments or questions, can you put them in the comments below so I can address them in another video? And if you like what I'm doing, please do subscribe. It really helps encourage me to make more of these videos. And let me know what you think of this unit and or whatever you're using right now. It'd be great to hear from you. And until next time, keep rocking. In fact, keep rocking.